This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an insurance agent. Now, here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum, Mike Boesl, and Tonya Lied.
Welcome to IA Forward, and today we have a very pressing topic. I want to talk about why you can pull up at Chick-fil-A and there can be 40 cars ahead of you, right? And you're going to have your chicken or your gallon of diet lemonade in like 5 minutes. How is that even possible? Like if you pulled up at McDonald's and there are 40 cars ahead of you, you go somewhere else, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Like, did they pioneer the like drive-thru person standing in the lane, or did they borrow that? Do we know? Do we know if they pioneered that?
I think Sonic probably pioneered that.
Yeah. No, that's different. That's got to be different, right? That's like pull up and like order through the loudspeaker. Like,
no, they're out there.
They're out there, and there's like drive-thru
order. Who does Sonic take your order in y'all's part of the country? Like the physical person comes out and takes the order?
No.
That's what I'm talking about. Like Chick-fil-A has kids standing in the drive-thru. Like you'll run over them if they don't get out of your way. Like they're out there, right?
They are.
Maybe COVID. Maybe it was a COVID thing. That's where
I don't know. I'm just a little confused. Like we just like went right into this. Like you guys got somewhere to be?
We got a lot to talk about, man.
We do. We're talking about Chick-fil-A, which, I can't eat Chick-fil-A because they use peanut oil, but I am obsessed with their diet lemonade, and I get a gallon of diet lemonade every Monday, and then I get another one every either Thursday or Friday, depending on how much of it Daniel has drunk throughout the week. So I go to Chick-fil-A twice a week, but I never get to eat their chicken, which is a travesty.
I'm not even going to lie. We didn't have Chick-fil-A in my area until about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I would expect that. They haven't made it into every northern state. It's that southern hospitality. They got to take the temperature, see if they're going to get run out of town, or they're going to get embraced with their warm, my pleasure, southern hospitality. So
I was at what airport was it? I want to say Baltimore Airport, and there was a Chick-fil-A, and I did not get what I would consider Southern comfort from my experience, but I also wasn't in the South.
I think the airport's the risky venture for them, right? Like there was the airport, and then I don't know. I think maybe they did some of the ballparks that they've done. Maybe I'm blurring that with the airports, but they close on Sunday, right? So they don't waver. They don't waver from that. And so if you're at the airport on a Sunday, you're not getting Chick-fil-A. I don't care.
Or if you're watching the Atlanta Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium,
you're not getting Chick-fil-A.
Going to get Chick-fil-A. And they have a whole lot of them.
What's really awesome about that, like, number one, I appreciate the values and sticking to their core values, but also, like, take that aside. The quiet marketing that it does, like, I know that's a weird way to think about it, but like Chick-fil-A's dark in the airport on Sunday. And everybody notices Chick-fil-A is dark it's like, and it's almost like the scarcity marketing thing. You're like, that's when you really want Chick-fil-A. You really, really want Chick-fil-A on Sunday, because you can't have it.
There's a John Chris skit where he's like standing outside the Chick-fil-A with this trench coat on, and he's like, "Hey, I've got the
But they've created something different, right? There's a buzz about that. I think you can easily make a direct correlation between them and Southwest. They both had that thing that was different, that buzzy thing. And look, Southwest decided that was a bad idea and went in the other direction. I mean, how has that suited them?
Yeah, jacked it up is what it did.
Mhm.
Didn't
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it stands to reason if they did away with that, part of their culture would change. Something would be different. And I think it would be adversely affecting them.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And this is taking our original thought of the topic a little bit to a different place, but that's okay because that's how we roll here. Cracker Barrel's CEO just stepped down, was quietly fired, whatever the true story behind the scenes. And that was, it's just been a year since Cracker Barrel, decided to rebrand and then a week later reverse course and is now fully going back to their roots and embracing their country, the old country store.
Uncle Herschel.
They got rid of, they're shedding, they shedded, they did some, got rid of Maple Street. I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess in some areas there was like some cafes or something they had called Maple Street Cafe or something like that. They've been getting rid of things, selling them, right? Letting them go, and re-embracing their original model, right? And I wish Southwest would do that as a customer right now, but that's the thing.
You were more than a customer.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a little more than a customer these days. But that is the one thing Chick-fil-A has not done. Of course, private company versus public companies, in some, in these two comparables, they can kind of do what they want, as long as their customers are, long as they're legal and do it and their customers, like them, they can kind of do what they want. And, they don't have to worry about getting canceled because they don't care. It's like, whatever, you're not our customer anyway. And so, it's just an interesting thing to kind of look through these lenses and as a customer and from a business standpoint, marketing standpoint, and just do these comparables.
Chick-fil-A decided to change their French fries a year ago, and they added pea protein to them to make them crunchier. And people came unglued about it. People hated it. And they switched back very quickly. They listened to social media. They listened to the response of their customers. And I love that they did that in a really positive way. Talking about Southwest, I was a huge Southwest Airlines fan. I flew Southwest all the time. And since they have actually implemented their changes, I can no longer afford to fly Southwest. It is cheaper for me to fly round trip on Delta, American, or United than it is for me to fly one way out of anywhere I've tried to fly out of and into. So, I think it's fantastic that they say that they're more profitable than ever, yada, yada, but they've lost. And I can't be the only really loyal customer that they've lost. I can't be.
Well, no. Absolutely not. And I have not met a fellow customer in a boarding line or in the terminal at the gate who has said, wow, I love these changes. This is so much better. Like I have yet to meet that person. They may be out there, but in my travels, which, for 4 or 5 months, in the first part of this year was every week, multiple times. And so, I just haven't met that person. They may be out there, but I don't know where they are. And
I literally yesterday had this conversation with my wife. We have the Southwest credit card. And I said, you might as well cancel that because there's no product differentiation anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Not.
Let's go back to Chick-fil-A though. And what does Chick-fil-A have to do with an insurance agency? And looking at it from the insurance perspective, it's not about selling chicken. it's not about selling insurance, right? Because everybody offers insurance. There's 3 insurance agencies on every corner, right? There's lots of chicken places. There's lots of fast food places. So it's not the chicken, it is the lemonade. Yeah. But Chick-fil-A is selling consistency. They're selling trust. They're selling experience. And insurance agencies are the same way. We're selling relationships. We're selling confidence, advice, protection, peace of mind. And people may buy a product elsewhere, but they're going to return because of the experience, right? So if you're providing a great experience and somebody leaves, people are going to come back to you. Or if you provide a great experience, they're not going to leave.
Yeah.
The first thing that I always think of, again, as someone who hasn't had access or been exposed to Chick-fil-A as long, really it really comes down to that Sunday for me. Like, because that is them sticking to some standard that they set for themselves. There's some, in this case, I'm sure it's a moral standard of not being open on this particular day of the week, right? And that just resonates with me. Like, okay, you decided 6 days, not 7 days. Obviously, you're going to make less money in 6 days than you could make in 7 days, right? Unless you're a tire fire and you're losing money, and then you're not losing as much. Good for you. So just the fact that you're morally sticking to your guns, I think, goes a really long way.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about that is the assumption is that they're going to make less money, but they're consistently at the top of per store, what they would call per store sales in the industry, right? In their comparable peers, compared to McDonald's, compared to Taco Bell, et cetera, they are consistently at the top of per store sales, unit sales for the franchise. And I think, I'm going to throw a few things out there. I think the closing on Sundays, them sticking, that's a core value. That's just their beliefs, their founder, and they have not wavered from that. I think the other really, really closely aligned thing to that has been the way they select their franchisees. I know for us at the Integra Partner Network, and my belief is, this was kind of something that I've tried to emulate in a way, right? It's not a direct comparable, but it's the underlying tone. And that is that while we're not a franchise organization, just trying to kind of closely align ourselves with this concept, they only allow their franchises to own one store, and their franchisees must be owner operators. In other words, they can't be investors. So you can't have money like many other franchise organizations, like a lot of franchise organizations like McDonald's, I think probably Taco Bell, most of them, they actually crave what they call area developers, or people who will buy a territory and do a multi-unit investment. Well, if you're going to build, Huntington, Texas just got its first McDonald's. It opens, it's about to open in the next few days. And so
right by the stoplight,
this is a big deal, right by the second stoplight. Right. So that's just funny to say out loud. And so, I'm very, if you're going to build 10 McDonald's, you got to have some dough. Like, you got to have some deep pockets. Right. And that's what that organization, that's what they look at for franchises. Chick-fil-A takes preference. They take a lot of applications for franchises every year, and people who have worked in a Chick-fil-A in college, in high school, get preferential consideration, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Their franchise fee, I'm probably going to get called out. I may be wrong on this. Their franchise fee used to be $5,000. It may be more. I don't know. But their structure today is that they require you to be an owner operator. I think that in and of itself is one of the most important things that allows Chick-fil-A to keep its culture and be consistent. What's really crazy is just being consistent all across their locations throughout the country. I mean, it is phenomenal how you can go from, Texas to Alabama and get a really, really close experience. And what's really funny is in my family, we compare everything to this Chick-fil-A in Lufkin, Texas. The owner operator is Julie Walker. She's a legend here in Angelina County. She's been running the Chick-fil-A for 25 plus years. And there's people in our Chamber of Commerce that are like, well, we need to get Julie over here to sort the logistics out on this. Like if we're having some big event, like everyone's convinced that she's an engineer at heart, right? Like her Chick-fil-A is so precise and so consistent. And we now compare other Chick-fil-A's across the country on travel to Julie's Chick-fil-A, Julie Walker's Chick-fil-A. And so, it's good. It's still Chick-fil-A, but it's not, they were slower than the Lufkin Chick-fil-A. Like, come on, like slower by 14 seconds. Like, what are you talking about? What are we doing? And so, I don't know. I just think that owner operator keeps, that model keeps them so in tune with their business and their customers that the consistency just naturally happens.
The question that Chick-fil-A asks is, will you dedicate your life to leading this business? That is one of the questions, because it is 10,000 now, by the way.
Okay.
But
right.
when you think
Still
about the
cheap.
fact, that Chick-fil-A pays for the land, the building, the equipment, the restaurant build out, that's millions of dollars that Chick-fil-A is investing with a $10,000 franchise fee, right? I mean, that's huge. But that is actually what they expect. I mean, they expect their owners to be in the store, hopping behind the register when they need to, picking up trash, greeting customers, all of those things. And they don't bring people in because of their skills. They hire for attitude, right? And talking about their employees, and that their high school and college employees get those the preference for those franchises. Those kids get fantastic college scholarships from Chick-fil-A as well. I mean, people want to work at Chick-fil-A for those college scholarships, and they keep them. And that's culture. And that goes back to how we lead our agencies. How are we taking care of our people? Do we see that our owner is engaged? Do we see that the leadership is visible? We see that decisions are happening quickly, and they're listening to their people, and they see that people care, right? And those are the things that we need to be doing as agency owners to make sure that we're creating a culture that our employees are going to take care of our customers. And that's one of the things that Simon Sinek talks about a lot. And he'll be talking to a CEO, and he'll ask a CEO, one of the first questions that he always asks is, what is your number one priority, as a CEO? And the CEOs will usually respond, to take care of our customers. And he'll say, as a CEO, you haven't seen a customer in 5 to 10 years. your number one thing you need to be doing as a CEO is taking care of your people. And then your people will take care of your customers.
Yeah. Which, that was originally coined by Richard Branson, Virgin. I think, a lot of times we try to attribute the Southwest CEO, Herb Kelleher, to that, but it was actually Richard Branson that initiated take care of your people. Your people will take care of your customers. Right. And, I think when you look at that, it's from an agency owner perspective, we get a little bit of that comparison is the thief of joy. We get to look in it, maybe a larger broker, and we start talking about, how can I get myself out of this place of selling policies, of handling the client directly, to this place of, managing people. And I'm not sure that's the best insurance agency owner model. Like, I'm not really convinced of that. There's a lot more successful agency owners that I would classify as owner operators. Their lifestyles that are incredible, right? They make a lot of money, right? They have very valuable agencies, but they're not absent. Like, the ones that I feel like are the most disconnected are the ones where the owners are truly absent. They don't really know what's going on in the operations of the day to day. That's my concern about maybe where things are headed a little bit, where things have been headed for quite some time within the agency model, is this investor mentality versus owner operator mentality. I just, the most successful agents inside our agency network are really and truly owner operators. Like, even the larger ones are owner operator mindsets where they're in the trenches. Like, they have a really good pulse on what's going on in their business. And I have a few examples that I want to get into for us that are some examples of things where the pulse is not there.
So, well, here's the deal, kind of going back to what Tonya had mentioned. So earlier, Shane, you said, okay, we'd gone to Chick-fil-A and it was, hey, it's 6 days instead of 7, but they're still all the way up here on what they're making. Oh gosh.
Hey, you did it.
Yeah. Anyway, it was 6 days instead of 7 days, but they're still up here in terms of what they're making. I think it's really easy to, once you get past solopreneur, that you're going to start hiring people to say, okay, I'm gonna just maybe not pay top tier. I'm gonna pay a little less to my employees because of this, that, or the other reason. It doesn't, whatever your reason is, it is. If you start getting into this situation where you're on the lower end of pay and you're having turnover, churning, that you are going to end up making less money than if you got someone good, paid them well, and then had that same person there for 20 years. That, I'm sure Shane probably wouldn't say this, but that is the Integra model. There are people that are there for 20 years. There's several people that have been there for more than 20 years. That is just the way you guys have always operated in that building. And that has worked fantastically.
Sure. Well, and it wasn't always that way. Okay. So, for clarity, this is another one of those maybe mistakes and failures. And it's not, we're not the highest paying place in the world. Unfortunately, you two know that, right? Like, we're not like, no, everybody's not making gazillions of dollars, right? But at the same time, we're not at the low end, right? In our markets, and we've gotten into this situation where we have people in different parts of the country and, dealing with all that. And that makes things a little complicated. What I can tell you about Angelina County is while we may not be at the highest end of the scale, we're certainly not at the low end of the scale. And at one time, I would think we probably were. Like we had that mindset early on in my career. It wasn't like, I'm not throwing my dad under the bus with this statement. It was just the culture of that time, that generation, right? It wasn't necessarily anything he did wrong, but the culture of maybe the 90s was what can we afford to do and what can we get this person that we need to hire to agree to, right? There was no pay scale. There was no formality to it. And the mistake that brought us to was this area where we ended up at the low end of the pay scale, to Mike's point, and we had a lot of turnover. Like we truly had a lot of turnover. And it became very apparent that turnover is extremely expensive. Like, what is the cost of losing this person, finding a new comparable person, and training that person and getting that person to the same level that the person that left was at, right? In most cases, that's extremely expensive. And so when you're like, well, I'm going to pay at the low end because I need a new boat. I don't know. I'm making that up. That's probably, a little sassy, but I'm going to pay at the low end, right?
I don't think I've ever heard you use the word sassy. Go on.
Sassy?
Well, I'm a girl dad, so sassy, I get that a lot. Dad, why are you being so sassy, right? Anyway, that's a little sarcastic.
My husband says that on a daily basis about me, but I just never.
Well, it probably came out a little bit that way. But anyway, here's the deal. If you're going to do that, what you're not recognizing or you haven't been to yet is the loss of that person and then the replacement of that person and how much it cost you to get that done.
The hidden cost.
Yeah.
Also, there's the customer perspective. Okay. I've been into the office or I've contacted the office 3 times over the last 2 years, and I've spoken to someone different every single time. That is a red flag.
Yeah.
And I'm having to re-explain everything from the beginning.
Yeah. Where's Joe? Joe's not here. Oh, okay. What about Susan? Oh yeah. She gone too. Like, what's going on? Right. Yeah. And I mean,
but then Uncle Mike walks into Integra Insurance Services and everybody in the front office greets Uncle Mike as Uncle Mike, which, just so y'all know, when I go into Huntington, sometimes I sit in different areas, and I'm sitting in the front area of our retail office one day, and that literally happened. Like, this guy came in and everybody starts greeting Uncle Mike. And finally, when he left, I was like, okay, whose uncle is that? And the answer was, well, nobody's.
Somebody's.
Somebody. Yeah,
not
that's
one of our people, though. But everybody knew Uncle Mike. So
yeah, no, that's just what you go by. It's just that's their name. So, but no, I mean that's right. Like, I don't know, that's what you're paying above market or at the higher end of the market for, right? Or you're putting yourself in a position to be successful, and it really doesn't cost you. And I think that's kind of that Chick-fil-A comparable. Like, okay, we're only going to be open 6 days a week. We're going to always keep Sunday closed, and you're going to miss that revenue, but you're not really missing anything. Like you're actually creating desire for your product because people didn't get to, come by on Sunday. And so, it's just a really interesting model to think about and a marketing concept to really try to emulate. And I think our agency world can learn from it a lot. I think if we think about Chick-fil-A and then think about the comparables in our insurance agencies, we will be better if we follow similarities to that Chick-fil-A model.
Here, one thing I wanted to touch on real quick. I think it would be easy for someone to fall into this trap. They keep talking on this podcast about something like Uncle Mike, but that's a small town. That happens there.
Yes.
Okay, that doesn't have to just happen there. But the customer experience is just as important in Dallas, Texas, as it is in Lufkin, Texas.
Absolutely.
So let's not think that just because you're in a big city, you can't have those types of relationships with your client base. That's false.
It may be that it's not in person. You may not have a storefront where retail customers walk in. You might not be Main Street, right? Like we literally are Main Street in our retail operation. We have 2 of our 3 locations in Deep East Texas that are literally Main Street addresses. Like it literally says Main Street. And so it's not just a phrase. Sometimes I've learned in different parts of the country, it's like, oh, you're a Main Street business. So, oh no, you really are on Main Street. Like, yes, it's a real street in this town. And so, no, that's true. But we have agents that are more successful than our retail location here in the country in suburban areas, in metro areas. They may not have physical storefronts in terms of retail walk-in, right? People may not come into their office physically. You can still have this culture. You can still have that Uncle Mike kind of feel if it's about customer experience, right? And I'm convinced it's about that Chick-fil-A owner-operator mentality. If that agency ownership is truly owner-operator mindset, where you're not just this investor and if you're trying really, really hard to get to a place where you don't have to work, then your culture is going to feel that way. It's going to feel your absence. And the business of owning an insurance agency, my view is, and statistically, 86 or 7% of them, right in that range, across the country, fit this size dynamic that is the owner operator, right? It's a really, really small percentage that have, big executive teams. The ownership doesn't really write insurance anymore. There's all these different people leading the organization that haven't sold a policy in 20 years. Like that is a severe minority, like under 10% of agencies across the country. 85 to 90% are truly owner operators. The question is, are you in tune with your business? It doesn't matter where your business is located. It's what's the customer experience going to be? And that's what, I see as the comparable to Chick-fil-A.
So yeah, here's a tip, because I remember this from the agency that I worked at when I first got out of college. Do not have your golf clubs sitting right next to the door to your office and have a glass pane there so people can see if the golf clubs are there or not there. And then they can base their day around the location of the golf clubs.
Wow. There's an old commercial that, Tonya, what was the commercial with the office where the receptionist answers the phone and it's like, oh, you're not going to be in today. And everybody picks up their golf clubs from their desk. And then it's, oh, you are coming in, and everybody sets them back down. It's like a FedEx. I don't know. It's probably a FedEx commercial, but
Probably
it's
1983.
Agree. Totally agree.
I wonder how many episodes in a row we can talk about golf when two of the wait, Tiny, you play golf?
I play at golf.
Okay. When you have one person that does not care at all about golf and two that are marginally interested.
Yeah. I like to hack.
I really enjoy going like to the driving range more than playing 9 or 18 holes. And the reason for that is, like, first of all, I get hot. But second of all, I get annoyed when people in front of me are slow. And so if Daniel and I go out to play 9 holes, we may only play 6 because we just go around people and skip holes. So we don't have to wait.
Here's a funny story. Totally off topic. But I actually worked at I worked at a golf course in college. And one of my buddies put his foot in his mouth. And good thing I wasn't drinking anything at the time because I would have spit across the room. So 2 ladies walk in. He didn't realize that it was ladies' 9-hole day, which is different than ladies' 18-hole day.
Okay.
So they walk up and they're going to register their scores with him. He's at the desk. And she's like, "Oh, didn't do great today. I remember it like it was yesterday. I shot an 89. And he's like, 89? That is awesome. And she goes, that's for 9 holes. And he goes, let me write that down.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. So
I don't keep score. It's too stressful. Most of the time I go out and hit, I just don't. What are we doing? Like, I'm not a participation trophy guy. Y'all know that, but
right. I was going through all of that in my head.
I know, but in my mind, when I'm by myself or when I'm just me and a buddy, like, I'm like, hey, you keep your score. I don't care. I don't need that stress in my life. I'm out here to de-stress my life. I'm not out here to increase my stress. So that's the way I handle that.
So do you walk a course or do you drive the golf cart?
Most of the time I'm in a cart. I have walked it, but we have some really hilly golf courses around here. So if I'm going to play locally, it's a booger to walk. Actually, it's pretty tough. So
who's the source of all those stresses you're trying to relieve?
It's Robbie, right? It's totally Robbie.
Tonya, Mike,
I know it's not me.
It's just all of those people in my life,
Okay, so we have covered Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, golf. What are we missing for a good insurance podcast, right?
So now we're going to talk about banking.
We did Southwest.
We covered Southwest. Airline.
Yeah,
we did some airline stuff. But now let's get into banking and
let's do it.
And here's my very recent experience of why I'm concerned about agencies that try to move away from the owner-operator model. Recently had a bank, one of the banks that we deal with, and it just so happens that this bank is being sold, merged for the 3rd time in 10 years. Okay. The bigger just keep getting bigger. And I will say the previous 2 were okay. Like the merger, the transition was okay. Like it wasn't terrible. Like there was a local, let's just call it owner operator banker that I knew in the organization, even though the organization was based in another state. Their local banker was a banker that I knew from long time ago. He was very much in tune with his market, with what was going on. And so much like that Chick-fil-A owner operator, it was good. It was always good. He retired. And now after his retirement, a few years after his retirement, the bank has sold again. And my experience in this situation, in this one, and what I related to was just the largeness of everything. Like everything is so corporate. Everything is so stale and generic. There's nowhere close to that owner operator culture feel to it, like in the local market. And just getting through to someone on a phone call is really difficult. Okay. And when I do talk to this person does not sound like they're from anywhere in any region of the United States. Okay. And so that is a little problematic to me when they're asking me for things like, well, why can't you see what is the account number you're looking for? Like that's a little problematic for me. Right. And so I've just had this recent experience where this large organization is just okay losing customers because their experience is terrible. Like they don't, it's just a numbers game for them, right? There's no real relationship building. There's no personal relationship at all. There's certainly no owner operator culture to it. And that's what we've seen from private equity coming into the agency world. That's what we've seen from some of the really large roll-up brokers across the country is all of that local culture has been eliminated. And when that happened, they lost people. And when they lost people, they started losing customers because, again, back to our Chick-fil-A, Richard Branson, Simon Sinek point of the people were no longer being taken care of.
Now, your father was a banker. Your family owned the local bank. So what are you seeing really as, what would your dad have done differently? If he was selling, if he was in this merger, what would Huntington State Bank have done differently under your dad?
I'm not sure they would have sold to this bank. Number one, I think he would have been a little more money or not, right? Like this feels like the highest bidder situation, which is, hey, it happens out there, right? Like at some point the number gets so big that it becomes multi-generational wealth for some family and people have to say yes. Like I'm not saying that that's not real. I think specifically though, to your question, that would not have been the decision, right? Number one. Number two, I think there would have been this kind of back to the previous merger where there was that type of person in the bank. This is not the bank that we had ownership in, by the way, our family. This is different bank. And in those cases, there would have been some negotiation to take care of the people. There would have been some negotiation to probably stay on board and see the transition happen locally. I think that would have been a lot different. So you wouldn't have gotten that feeling, right? And we actually have some cousins who were in way up the generational line where the bank split in our family, few generations ahead of me. There were these cousins that are the heirs to that bank. They're still in the banking business and they have been sold and they have stayed, and that bank doesn't feel like it's corporate, even though they're owned by a much larger bank holding company today.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's peer, his cousin, my cousins that are in the banking business, they're still locally in the banking business. And that banking organization has taken care of their people, right? And while they may not be that Chick-fil-A model, they're very much that old Southwest model, right? Where
Right.
it feels like a great relationship.
So, from an agency perspective, I know this is something that your family does. You guys are very, y'all are out in the community, whether it is at a rodeo, which is very, very prominent in that area. You guys are out in public, right? This is one of those things that Brian Poole at Lone Star down in Deer Park, Texas, does very well. He has a fantastic team in-house that take care of most of the day-to-day calls. He's always a call transfer away, but he tries to let his team do that. But that gives him time to be out in that community, out, meeting with realtors, going to the livestock auction, being at every single University of Houston basketball and football game, no matter where it is, right? So he is the face of the agency, and he can do that because he has people in place in the agency that can take care of business while he is out.
Yeah, and he enjoys it, right?
Mhm.
Like he's master tailgater, right? At the
Yes.
football games. Like it's a part of his persona, and yes, it's a part of his agency culture.
Mhm.
It's still owner operator
Mhm.
mentality. And I think about like, that Chick-fil-A franchisee can jump behind the register,
And they
right?
do.
And they do on a busy lunch day. Brian can quote and write business if he had to, because he's done it and he stays a little bit in tune. Now, does he do it every day? Not as much, probably a lot less today. Does that mean that our agency owners have to stay in the sales and agents, quoting and sales part of the business? No, it doesn't mean that. Don't misunderstand, I guess, the mindset of what an owner operator might look like in the agency business. It's not that you have to stay there. It's that you have to be at a place where you could jump back in, right? I could fumble my way through a quote. I could sell and present a proposed thing, right? Today, I can still do it.
I'd like to watch it. Actually.
Yeah,
Me
I can
too.
still do
Me
it.
too. Actually, Mike and I had the conversation on Teams about this during the podcast recording.
Yeah, no, I can still do this. Like I'm in our system every day. I see it, right? Just because you don't do it doesn't mean you can't do it, right? And I think that's the piece that, that we miss when we start having this investor mindset. Like, I'm not going to show up at the office for a month. Like those exist. Like those agencies exist.
Especially when you get into ownership that's in their, mid to late 60s or older. I worked at an agency where the owner was 80 years old.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wasn't there every day.
Yeah, and I think the mistake there, because I feel like that's gonna be me one day. And so I'm thinking, like, how do I not be this person that I talked about for all these years? I think the thing there is you can stay ownership, but you got to have either another generation coming. You got to have this willingness to say, no, but I'm going to have, a new CEO, a president, an agency operator, right? And that agency operator that I'm selecting is someone who's going to carry on what has made us successful. Even if there's some tweaks to that, there's still a focus on agency customer experience. And so, yes, I think that's right, Mike. Like, you could be the 80-year-old that never shows up, that owns it, that controls it, and it just kind of is retired in place. That is not what I'm talking about at all. Just for clarity, I don't advocate that type of model at all.
The agencies that I see thriving are the agencies who have leaders that are present. And I don't necessarily mean every minute of every day, but they're invested in their people, they're invested in their customers, they're in their culture. And my thought process is always like, if one of your customers spent one day inside your agency, what would they learn about your leadership? Like, we're not talking about your mission statement, your core values, your website, the awards on the wall, but like, would they see a culture of service? Would they see your team is empowered to make decisions? Would they see people who genuinely care about the clients they serve? And to me, that is the job of the owner, is to invest in your people, to coach your people, to have those interactions that create success by shaping culture. And that's one of the things that Shane has done, and Shane and his family have done with Integra, that I see members of our Integra partner network emulating, because they see the success of the model.
Yeah, I think we have 44, 45 employees today. And, I'll say this, and this isn't to toot a horn or anything like that. This is just like an example. No, I don't quote and sell today. I can reemphasize that, Mike. I can.
No, I know.
And I know Mike doesn't believe me. I may have to do a quote for you and show you that I can still do that. So,
Shane, I need some homeowners insurance down in Florida.
I got you. I'll take care of it. I'll turn over every rock, and you will get a price.
And then Amy's going to have to fix it, but
right. I got a guy.
You will get a price. You will get a price.
I got a guy. You will.
It might be higher than the cost of your home.
That's right. That's right. So, but it could be as simple as the water in the coffee pot needs to be refilled, right? And yes, there is a person today that does that, right? There is a literal person who's, it's hard.
Is that Robbie?
No, it's not Robbie. Robbie's the assistant maintenance director. He's not the maintenance director. Change the trash out in the trash can in the kitchen, or if you have a reception, kitchen area, just, things that you do at home. Like, I just think about it that way. Like, that business is an extension of you personally as an owner. And I think that's a mindset. And I think what happens is when agents start to grow, agency owners, they start to grow, they get a little bit larger, to use a little bit of a East Texas slang, they get a little bit on their high horse, right? They're up on their high horse a little bit. Had to get you some cliches in here today, Mike.
We were like, actually, I don't know if we had any.
I know. So I can't go without it. Right. And they just, it's like, well, I hired that person to work for me. They work for me. I mean, servant leadership is all over the Chick-fil-A model. That franchisee jumping in behind the register, directing, helping the kids in the drive-thru lane take the orders, going and just whatever. Like, I was literally in a conversation, my mistake, I should have never done this, with Julie Walker, our local Chick-fil-A franchisee, during the lunch hour. For whatever reason, I decided to go to Chick-fil-A that day, which was probably would never do in a typical work day. And Julie's like, hey, can I call you back? Like, can I call you later? I need to go check on our drive-thru right now. I think it's backing up. And like, I mean, yes, Julie, please go run your business. But like literally was in the middle of a conversation.
So you showed up there at lunchtime and you went full Shane Tatum on her.
And I went full Shane Tatum on her and started talking to her. Like, you know, that was kind of dumb. I'm sorry, Julie. I'm sorry. Sorry I did this to you, right? Like, be funny.
I'm going to leave us today with this quote from John Wooden, who did not coach in the SEC, Mike. So therefore, I can
Love
use
it.
this one.
Perfect.
The most powerful leadership tool you have is your own personal example.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Bye, y'all.
At the Integra Partner Network, we understand that carrier access is the key to your agency's success. That's why Integra offers direct access to top-rated personal and commercial carriers, ensuring your agency thrives in today's challenging market. And with our comprehensive resources, profit sharing and bonus opportunities, technology and peer support, all while you retain 100% of your book with no penalties to exit. Integra is ready to empower you and your agency to find sustained growth. Find your way to Integra. Visit IntegraPartnerNetwork.com today. That's IntegraPartnerNetwork.com.